All right, good evening, everyone. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:50 on Wednesday, December 3rd. It's good to see everybody again. It's been a while and lots has happened. So I'm going to pass it over to Ben to share Design Labs project update.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you, Tina, and share the sentiments. It's great to see everyone again. It has been a while. Hard to imagine December is upon us, but have a what we think is going to be a pretty brief, but hopefully a thorough update for you guys, just in terms of where the project is at. So we'll just quickly touch on the schedule and share some construction highlights. What's been going on since we last met. A little quick refresher on the interior palette, just so you all are reminded of what's to come once we uh, get finishes completely installed and the building open. And then we wanted to share an update on interior signage. And there's a handful of components of that, one of which is wayfinding, just how you will navigate the building and what to expect. Environmental graphics, those are sort of large scale graphics. You'll remember we talked about those around the elevator core on the main floor and the upper level, and then the donor sign location. Then any next steps or discussion we can chat, and Trey from Colliers will have a quick update on their end. In terms of the schedule, we are at the tail end of our construction process. It's been a long time coming, I know, but we are working towards an end of January completion date. The site is very exciting. Everything is really, really starting to take shape, and all of the spaces that we've been working so hard together to imagine and to design are coming to fruition. So it's wonderful, wonderful to see. We are anticipating and have been working alongside the construction process to receive furniture mid-end of January. So that's aligning with the end of construction. Um, and then there'll be a transition as construction wraps up for the library team and staff to get settled and moved in. And then we are hoping to open doors in later in the winter. One thing we do want to point out, and this first photo will kind of illustrate that, but we got some primary plantings in, mainly the trees. We had a pretty strict planting deadline to get things in before weather set in. So we got the trees in, but we decided strategically to not push it and try to get all of the low ground cover and some of the smaller shrubs and plantings and ornamental plantings planted because we were so close to the winter weather, as we all saw yesterday. So that's going to happen in springtime. But the rest of the hardscape, the plaza, the stairs, all the other sort of landscape features will be in for the end of January. But the plantings and seeding of grass will linger until the springtime when the weather is more cooperative. Um, we've also done a lot of work on the building envelope. We do have a new roof on the building. It is a asphalt shingle that resembles slate. It is not itself. The existing slate was in very tough shape. And after we started demolition of that roof, we learned that there was a considerable amount of asbestos beneath it. So that was all abated and addressed. And there's a brand new roof on the building, including all new copper work, which is really exciting to see. A really sort of lost art form to get all of that copper work in and around the roof edges and make that roof weather tight. But it is, and it's great to see. And
Can I ask a quick question, or do you want me to wait till the end?
you can ask.
Of course, my husband, being the building envelope guy, was like absolutely lost his mind when he saw that you guys took a slate roof and replaced it with asphalt. I guess like I was just curious, like why we so you just couldn't piecemeal like the repairs of the slate. Because I mean a slate roof is worth several $100,000 versus this asphalt roof that's going to need to get replaced in like the next 20 years. That the slate lasts for hundreds of years. So that's why we just like when that change happened, I was like, oh God. And then he also mentioned that those copper like all that copper work that you guys did and installed and spent money on, we're going to have to pull that up when we go to replace the roof in the next 20, whatever lifetime of an asphalt roof is. Let's say 20 years from now, like all of that work then goes away. So I guess I'm just curious, like, I thought we hired someone that like specifically was an asbestos abatement specialist. So I guess like I'm just curious, like if like people got pulled in to like take a look and see if you could do those repairs piecemeal instead of pulling the entire roof off. And like what happened with all that slate? Like did the contractor then go and sell it? Because that had a big that has a big value. So I guess I'm just yeah, I just need the background of it because like I think that it was upsetting to see that such a huge change had been made to make the historic building not keep its integrity of the roofing structure.
All good questions. So I'll try my best to take them one at a time. So the first one about did we analyze if we could do repairs and sort of weave new slate in with the existing? Yes, that was looked at ad nauseum with the hazmat consultant and the hygienist, and just given the nature of the mastic that was underneath it, that was all would all be disturbed, and there basically wasn't a way to do that that met all of the environmental safety requirements. Because it disturbed it, and it just there was no way to start and stop that abatement because of the way the mastic was on the roof. So we did look at that. Colliers can speak to that too, because they work very closely with the hazardous material consultant on that. That roof was 120 plus years old. It was reaching the end of its life as a slate roof. It probably had a little bit more in it depending on where it was, but was in pretty tough shape. But the cost of the abatement, unfortunately, outweighed what we could manage for the cost for a new slate roof. We did look at it extensively with the team, with Colliers, and with the contractor, and ultimately landed where we did. It wasn't an easy decision. We belabored it for a long, long time. The last question about the copper, that's partially true, but not entirely. The ridge caps, yes, those could be taken off and put back on. The valleys, and some of the components around the turret and elsewhere, like that copper work and like this copper work, for example, all of the edges into the gutters and the step flashing into the masonry walls, all of that could remain, in 30 years when when the asphalt reaches the end of its life. But there are some components, like I said, the ridge caps, which would need to be unclipped and then could be put back on if the right crew is doing the work.
Okay. Okay. And then do you know what happened to all the slate that was on the roof?
It was all demolished, and that was part of the cost. I mean, this was the big process with the hazmat folks and the contractor, but that was all part of the cost for the work, meaning the what could be salvaged, and a lot of it was pretty brittle and broke. But what could be salvaged, that was part of the negotiation of the cost with the roofing contractor.
Yeah, Kat, I just want to piggyback off what Ben was saying. The abatement of this would have been a huge number. It's a large area, and to remove all that mastic in an environmental safely way would have cost exponential more than just the slate roof, putting on a brand new slate roof. So ultimately, it was kind of a budgetal decision, based upon what existing field conditions were.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I just wanted to come back with some actual information for him. Because I think in his mind, you guys, like, it could have been done in like whatever sections needed to be abated could have been abated. But I also like, am I just making this up in my mind that the guys that we hired, aren't they specifically like abatement specialists? Like, isn't the contractor an abatement specialist before he was like a library person. Isn't he like an abatement guy? Or am I just making that up in my mind?
If I can, so they were, but they can't do that work. So we had to hire a separate hazmat team because they can't be the contractor and the hazmat consultant on the same job.
Good job. Good.
And I will just add, just for everyone's knowledge, we got the information about the roof like the week after town meeting. So right after we got all the additional funding is when we got the word, and it was like $500,000 for a slate roof and like $250,000 for the asphalt roof. And so even as it is, the contingency we were replenishing with the money from town meeting, I now had to eat into to replace a roof that we weren't expecting to have to replace. And
Right.
we did. We went back and forth and back and forth, and we talked. We were looking at every penny to see if there was any place. But then we would have had to start cutting other aspects of the project to put the slate roof back on.
Right. No, for sure. I know it's a huge expense.
Yeah.
I
Can
just
I-
was curious, like, okay.
Can I ask, like, and maybe there wasn't a lot of options or timing, but like, how come that wasn't brought to the building committee?
So it was all timing. If we didn't make a decision, then we had to pay for more scaffolding. Then we had to pay. I mean, everything was timing. And they'll tell you, I mean, every morning SMI would say, do you have a decision yet? Do you have a decision yet?
Yep.
We need to teach because the scaffolding was hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep that up. And so it's not that we didn't want to, it's just everything that happens, it's like we need to make a decision immediately or else the project stalls. And we renegotiated the new end date and we weren't going to make, and so if we, meaning the town, affects that end date, then we're on the hook for every dime more than that. If SMI goes over the end date, then they pay us liquidated damages. And so, we go back and forth on every decision that what's the reasonable amount of time before they say it's our fault and we say it's their fault and we end up in court, which is also what we didn't want to have happen.
No, that's totally fair. I think what I'm just struggling with, and it at this point it's moot, but is I think a lot of things, and this roof was just one of the examples, a lot of decisions have been made outside of the building committee, and that was like we were charged with making the decisions around all of the building. And I know I personally am feeling compelled to respond to some of the town people's dissatisfaction. And it's hard to say, well, the building committee did all of these things, because we didn't. And so I know, again, I think I know there's not really an answer here. I'm just a little frustrated by it, but I understand the timing and everything. So, yeah.
Okay, then.
No,
You wanna
that's
keep-
that's understood, and I'll just underscore it for everybody. I know we've all been working together for a long time on this. It was not a decision that came lightly. Like it was really belabored a lot, and we tried every possible way to get Slate back on the building, but it just wasn't really feasible from a timing or financial perspective. And we sliced and diced it a number of times for weeks on end, trying to figure out how to make it happen. Okay, so moving on from the roof, you'll probably noticed all of this as you're out and about around town driving by, but the site is coming together. We're there, continue to be there weekly. The main wall or the main stair up to the original entry is going in. Formwork was in place. It'll likely probably be pulled down when we go out there tomorrow, but you can really start to understand some of the other site features. And that entrance from the inside, like you see on the left, is coming to life with glass. New doors aren't in yet, but they are about to be. So that sort of original entry sequence is coming back to life, which is wonderful.
The interior door is actually there since I took that picture. So like they're definitely moving pretty fast here.
Yeah, and Audrey will
go
kind of walk you through some of the interior spaces. But as I said at the top, like we're in the final stretch. So you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, so it has been really awesome going out each week. And so I just kind of wanted to put together a few of the different areas and looking at those so you guys can actually see what's going on inside of the building. So these few are from the historic side. And so all of the walls got a nice fresh coat of paint. And the Whitney room, which is the larger room, the larger image that you'll see there, uh, got 3 new windows. And so that really brightened that space up. It used to be, it felt a little closed, a little bit dark, but now it's got so much more daylight and so much more life into it. Um, and then moving downstairs, so this is where all of the majority of the new collection is going to be housed. Just seeing how the ceilings are going. We're getting some lights in. The interior storefront frames are starting to go in. Just really starting to make the spaces a little bit more. This is the browsing and arrival area. So what you'd see as you enter first on the lower level. You're starting to see the wood ceiling that's going to be above the circulation desk that's being installed. And then you can start to see a little bit on the right-hand side that all of that red is the stairs. And that's going to have a whole bunch of millwork on it. If you can remember um, I lost the word. Remember the renders that we'd shown before. And then, so here are the director's office and the teen space. So we've got those little like secondary spaces on the lower level. The meeting spaces right beside the teen as well, but those are getting finished out as well. I'm really jumping all around here. So the brick, just kind of wanted to refresh where we had landed with the building committee vote on, I guess, what, 4/15. So you can see the mock-up and the hardy and how that was chosen, and then we'll be able to see how that's put into place here, which is really cool to see from such a small mock-up to then have it be like the addition. And the brickwork came out pretty well. Pretty
And I,
excited by that.
sorry, Audrey, I just have a question.
Yeah.
I'm assuming we can't make any changes at this point or like additions. Like like things that are built. I get that. Um, and this picture that you're showing is makes me feel better because I had a recollection that the stonework for the wall had this like red tone in it also. Um, it just I'm surprised, and I guess maybe we just didn't anticipate this. I don't know. It feels like there's nothing about the old building in the new building that ties them together. And so I'm just wondering if I don't even know. I don't know what I'm wondering. I guess I just wish that it tied in better. And I like the stonework. That helps a lot. Um, but there's like not anything we can do to like put a little bit of red brick somewhere to like make it look like it makes sense.
Not
So
at this stage, no. I mean, we did add more brick, or excuse me, more stone. So the stone base, I don't think we have a photo here. No, we go back inside, but we did add more stone. That was something that we talked about back in April. So there is going to be more stone that shows up at the sloped walk to the left of the main entry to sort of tie the two building bases together. So that was something that we were able to manage and add that additional stone, which isn't really visible yet. And I don't have photos of it here, but like that'll help to unify the
Okay.
buildings. And I know we talked a lot about the color of brick and worked our way through all of the mock-ups, but yes, it's not a red brick, but there is a lot of gestures and actually some details that we are replicating. This kind of in and out brick that shows up in the Whitney room, that shows up in other elements of the original building, the kind of verticality of the windows. That's why we kind of wanted to share this photo. The windows that are stacked on top of one another are proportioned to match what's in the turret. So there is that intention, but the brick itself
Yeah.
is based on the mock-up and the process that we went through.
No, I know. And I have recollections of us talking about how we didn't want to try to match the red brick for various reasons, including cost. And I'm sure once it's all done, it will look a little bit better, but it's just such a stark contrast when you drive by it and look at it now that it is, I understand why people are like, what is going on? So I just thought I'd ask, but
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, it is certainly different. There's no doubt about that. But and we don't have this in the presentation either. But you may remember way back, we referred to the Department of Secretary of the Interior's standards and recommendations when it came to adding on to buildings of historic significance, which of course the original Randall is, and those guidelines outline actually not mimicking
right.
color or brick, and that the addition wants to feel distinct, and
Mhm.
also the original building, you want to understand what that is, and that building should be able to stay intact should the addition ever go away 100 years from now, that original building is kind of understood and could be put back in place as it was originally built. So
Yeah.
that was the
No, I
approach that we
understand all
took.
this. I think it's just the nuance of all of these details, while they are very appreciated by all of us that we know, it doesn't translate right now to public opinion. So that's, I think, where this is coming from. But did you say it was the Secretary of the Interior for the state?
Yeah, so they
Okay.
they have a whole, they manage all sorts of historic buildings across the
Yep.
country, the National Park Service and others, and all of the historic buildings, they have really robust guidelines about how to approach them.
Okay.
And that was my 30-second summary of them, but that was really the kind of guiding principle about how we approached the design of the addition.
Could you
Okay.
also,
Thank you.
Audrey, just go back real quick to the mock-up for 1 second? So the mock-up and the building also look very different. Is there like a reason for that?
So I think, well, scale. So, obviously there's a lot more of the brick on the building, but I think also light. So I think,
Mhm.
it's important, and we're in a time of year right now where the sun is very low and it's kind of a gray time of year. But I think what's really one of the wonderful things about this collection of bricks is that they really change in the different tones and times of day and the type of light that they're getting. So if you're there on a bright sunny day, it can feel entirely different an overcast, cloudy day. And I think that's what you're kind of seeing in these photos. Like the
I
photo on
think
the
the,
left probably
the
got
only
it's
difference
probably
for me that really stands out is like the lightness. So like this looks a lot lighter to me, as you were talking about, specifically the darkest brick here, the gray,
Mhm.
looks very dark in the build. Like this brick
it's
looks like it matches the trim brick, but then in the build, it looks like that is a lot darker than the trim brick. Like the two bricks side by side look like they're different colors.
they're not. I can understand why
Okay.
you're saying that, but like I think it's the sun, Kat. So like in this photo here, I think this was just a brighter, sunnier day, so it makes the brick feel brighter and warmer. And here it's an
Lighter.
overcast day without any sun on it, so it does change an awful lot.
Can I ask
Um,
a question? So I too am really struggling with this, and I know that it is not, anyone's job to answer to the people in town who are speaking out about this, but I do live in this town, and it is hard sometimes to not want to provide answers. And I guess I'm just wondering if it currently looks exactly like you thought it would look then. Like, is this what you were thinking the entire time?
It is.
It
Yeah, I mean, we worked our way through these mock-ups, back in the springtime with all of you, and I mean, we had 6 different ones. And I I I know I just this sounds like a broken record. I understand, but I encourage you all to look at the building and appreciate it in different types of weather. And like you're seeing this go up at kind of the worst time of the year, like it's dark, it's dreary. But I think in the summertime, in the springtime, with different light on it, it'll start to change season to season. And I hope that kind of changes people's perception of it.
I mean, I can appreciate that. And again, I'm not looking to place blame. And I can also appreciate that, yes, we were shown all of these things. I mean, there's a picture circulating right now where somebody has photoshopped a prison guard standing on top of this building. And they're, sharing it on social media saying that the new Still Library looks like a prison. And it's, again, I completely understand that we have no obligation to respond to these things, but you know, I live in this town. I see these people. I bump into them at the grocery store. We are asked questions. We are sort of put on the defense, you know, to sort justify some of this stuff. I mean, somebody actually asked me today if I had a stake in this project, as in maybe I was benefiting financially in some way from this happening. And I know that you know, maybe that doesn't seem serious to everybody, but it feels pretty crappy to me right in this exact moment.
May,
You know,
may a community person say something or ask a question? I think it might be a good idea just to take the temperature of the town on it. I mean, it's a lot of anecdotal, you know, conversations. But if at the end of the day, the town is not satisfied with what we have for a new library, there are there are options that are not that expensive to change the color of the brick if that's something that we decide we want to do. Um, so it's not like, oh, well, you got it, you got it. If there's enough energy and passion for changing the color, it's not quote set in stone or in brick. It can easily be changed, and Gillette Stadium is a beautiful example of beautiful brickwork that wasn't the original color. So, you know, it's not like we have to live with it forever if people aren't, you know, happy with the
No, but
result.
what I will add is we've been talking about this since 2020.
Mhm.
Since the first diagram in 2021, the addition has always been gray. Every public meeting, we had renderings that showed a gray addition. Every town meeting that it went to, we had a presentation that had a gray addition. So this is not new information. We had an exterior building committee that focused on that. And I'll be honest, when one member wanted to have more red, this group here was not in favor of that. We had those conversations over and over and over. My opinion, that ship has sailed. The taxpayers have paid a lot of money. I think people should wait, see what the addition is like. It's, you know, there are a lot of buildings in town that people might not like to look at, but maybe people do love it. I mean, Andrew, who was on the exterior building committee, raved about the grays and the combinations and the different colors. So I think we've talked about the gray for years now. And you'll all recall, I didn't like the gray. I wasn't a fan of it, but I went along, you guys were the residents. We went along with the group. So here we are. I think we need to move on from the color of the brick. It's clearly up. We're not changing it. If someone wants to put a town meeting vote years from now and look at it, that's one thing, but we need to move past the conversation on the brick because this is not anything new.
No, we're not going to change it, obviously, but it's
I'm sorry. We need to keep the meeting moving right now, Janet.
all right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, shifting inside. Thank you, Denise. We thought it'd be fun for you guys to see some side by sides of renderings and tools that we use during the design process to illustrate the interior spaces. So obviously still work in progress, construction site and job boxes and all of that stuff, but you can really get a sense of the spaces and the volumes and what they will start to be like for patrons. So this view is you're back to the entry. You've just entered through the new entrance and circ desk is to your right. Elevator is straight forward, as is the stair. You can see some of the wood tones going in the photos that we all looked at. Here is that view that we all were really excited about during design, coming up the stair, sort of with that glass, expanse of glass between new and old that you look out and you kind of see the turret. So this moment is really starting to take shape as well. And then the children's space. So this is up on the upper level. Your back is just to the entrance to the children's area. And you're starting to see all of the view and the natural light and kind of feeling like you're up in the treetops. Bookshelves aren't in yet, obviously, but again, you're starting to get a sense of what the space will really feel like. Another view here. This is in the old portion of the building at the kind of transition between new and old. The stairs right there in front of you. The children's space that we were just looking at is just beyond, and this is sort of the knuckle, if you will, as new starts to meet old, and that new stair and elevator kind of is in the in-between area. And then just going kind of back outside, the kind of before and after is the design renderings on the left, and where we are now. And I mentioned the trees at the beginning. Obviously, it's not foliage on the trees, but I think that will be a great thing that will help kind of knit the site and knit the buildings together as well. Once the landscape is cohesive and pulls the two together. There's that view as well. So in terms of the interior palette, this is really just a reminder, nothing new to show you here. Just the existing, the architectural finishes on the left, the wood tones balanced with some more neutrals, grays and whites. The furniture that is sort of adding interest and pops of colors with the yellows and the blues. And then the library branding on the right, which is going to be integrated as well, largely in the wayfinding. So speaking of wayfinding, we've worked our way through some proposed signs in different locations. So we have this whole sort of diagram that we've developed to identify wayfinding locations. It's not a very large building, so there aren't going to be a ton of signs, but there's going to be some basic signage so folks know what types of programs are on different levels. And then a location for a donor sign, which we'll talk about, and the environmental graphics around the elevators, or on the elevator, I should say, on both floors. So really no need to go into these in detail other than to suggest that it's a tool that we've been using. And these are the types of signs that we've developed using the library branding color. So there's some cohesiveness there with their landscape and with their graphics that are on their website, and colors that will exist elsewhere in the library, largely in furniture. But pretty simple. Again, it's not a big building, but we do want to give people an understanding of where key spaces are. So these are the signs that we've developed to do that. They are not yet in fabrication, but we're working to get them underway very soon. And here's just kind of a more detailed view of what we hope those will look like. Largely around the elevator on both floors, so people know what's on what floor. And then let's see, there's some code signs. This is just to kind of keep you guys up to speed, so you know what types of signs are going to be in the building once it's done. But all the wayfinding that we just showed, that's kind of more just to navigate the building, and then there's all the code required signs as well. So each room will have its own name. So Audrey will kind of walk you through another exciting thing that we're excited about, the environmental graphics on the elevators on both floors, and then we'll share the donor location.
Yeah, so this is I've been deep into working on this lately, and I've actually been having a lot of fun. And so we had talked a bit about including some sort of large scale graphic, and talking with Denise and with Tina, we landed on the idea of kind of taking Stowe and making a book map of it, and treating it a little bit differently on each of the floors. So on the lower level, where you're entering in and you're going off to more of the adult collections, we wanted to keep a sort of historic feel to the map. So we tried to focus on some of the major landmarks, the major historic landmarks in Stowe. And also we're putting together a timeline of different things that have happened throughout the history of Stowe. These are all works in progresses still, but we're very excited to see these start to come. So you'll start to see that this is a flat image of it as it wraps around the elevator. So the two white rectangles inside of that, those are the two elevator door openings. I think we lost Ben.
I think so.
Okay,
Ben's back.
he's back.
Yeah, you're muted, Ben. You mind sharing again?
Working on it. Sorry about that. Yes. Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Not sure what happened.
All good. But yeah, so you'll see like as you're starting to go up the few little steps, and then you've got the split level with the two different elevator doors there. And the big blue rectangles on there, those are some of the wayfinding graphics that Ben had shown earlier as well. So that'll tell you where everything is in the building. You're able to go to the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
It might just be slow. That's okay. So taking something similar, and we're trying to do the same sort of idea up on the upper level, but as it's like directly adjacent to the children's, we wanted to give it a little bit more playfulness to it, and look at more of Stowe as a whole rather than just focused on like the more historic buildings. So adding a little bit more color, a little bit more playful life to it. And so this is really showing you that it does start to actually bleed into the children's area a little bit. So we're basically like at the top of the stairs there. So this is also work in progress, but trying to show more of Stowe and all the different things that the town can offer. So we'll be working on those.
Yeah, there they are sort of
Yeah.
tied together, so you can get a sense of how the upper and lower levels will work. These are, printed graphics on a special type of vinyl that's adhered to the walls, and hopefully adds a level of, interest and makes this building as much about the community in Stetson and the different historic buildings and the different aspects of Stowe as possible. The last part of the signage is the donor sign. We've been showing that and illustrating that in this location where this kind of box is shown here. And here's just kind of a hidden line perspective of that space, but it will be on this wall in some capacity. We're working with Morgan and the trustees on what exactly the kind of character of that is, but the intent is to illustrate and list all of those folks who have donated to the campaign. So they'll be represented on this wall. And that is it before we move on to Trey's component of the presentation. Any further questions or feedback?
Yeah, so the upper floor map, that is also of Stowe,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like,
Yes.
okay. And
Yeah,
it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But it's intended to be like there's kind of library intersection, and it's intended to be more playful, kind of like a map of like the 100-acre woods or in that kind of character.
Gotcha. And so will you guys, so you're going to put more than just like the apples and planes, you'll put
Yes.
like, are you
Yeah.
trying to identify locations in town? Like, oh, hey, here's a playground and here's where Lake Boone is, or is it more just like,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think we sent an
so
email. I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
think we sent an
No, you're
email
good.
to the building committee maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, looking for suggestions about places around town. And I don't think we got any feedback from anybody. So I think Audrey's just going around trying to find things to
I
illustrate.
wrote back for sure.
Okay.
We did get a little bit of feedback, and those places are starting to be incorporated. Again, it's a work in progress. We don't have all of the little icons on there, but I'm planning on adding a handful of the playgrounds, some of like the walking trail areas,
Right, exactly.
showing where
Trailhead.
like Minuteman is. I don't think we're intending to put like labels of the places,
No.
because then it's like, how do you choose? But here it's like all of the little apple bushels are actually where different orchards are in Stowe, and the little gliders where the
Crow
Crow air
Island.
Crow Island. And
But
so
certainly, it, I mean, this is like we keep saying, it's work in progress. If there are things that you think ought to be on here, feel free to share them.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like the trailheads would be awesome, or some trailheads and some playgrounds, and maybe like the Lake Boone, like throwing a boat on there or something like that, just to
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
No, I
new
love
Dunkin'
that.
Donuts, that'll make people happy.
that'll make some maybe, but who knows? But yeah, okay,
Only if they pay us for advertising, Morgan.
right. I definitely prefer the look of the downstairs one, but I
Mhm.
get where you're coming from, like wanting to make it a little different on the upper floor. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the upper one, just given its proximity, like you walk right by it as you go into
Right.
the children's area. So we thought, it would make sense to make it a little bit more playful and
Yep.
sort of in the storybook genre, which is the intention, but definitely have some refining to do.
Mhm.
Yep.
But certainly, I'll say it again, just if you have feedback, share it with Denise. We'll be happily integrate it.
I think what it is I think that the basement level, like the colors of the buildings and the palette kind of like is a little bit more matching than like say the upper one, which looks more like a map with like icons just stuck on top of it. So I don't know if
Mhm.
there's a fix for that, but that's kind of like how it's reading to me right now. But maybe I feel like the examples you showed were more like the entire image was illustrated. So if there were illustrations in it, yeah, like so if there's illustrations in it, it makes more sense if that makes sense. Like you're not actually giving us an illustrated map of Stowe, right? Like it's like a compute, like it's like a Google map of Stowe with icons stuck on top of it. I don't know. It just like it doesn't. I don't know.
No, that's
There's
fair.
some disconnect there, and I don't.
We can, yeah, no, that's fair. Well,
Yeah.
let us think about that. I mean, I think we can, it's not quite just a Google map. Like
Yeah.
it has been manipulated, but I think we could take
Yeah.
it further to kind of stylize it a little bit more.
This
Yeah.
is supposed to look it'd be inspired by those examples that you just showed us,
That's the intention,
right?
yes.
Those are just much more engaging to look at. So I don't know if we want to find like an illustrator or someone who might be able to do some work for this that gives it a little more, I don't know, whimsical appeal.
Yeah, well, let us take a little more time on it with this feedback. It was kind of one of the last things at this stage of the project where we thought we could share progress with you all. So let's take the feedback and react to it, and we'll see where we can get it.
And yeah, I mean, I love the idea, and I do, and I like I said, I think that the bottom one, like, it really does kind of look like a historical map. Like if you were back
Right.
in the olden days and you were looking at a map, that looks like what you would do. But I think like if we want to go for whimsy on the top, I don't know how to make that more whimsical, but I think it needs like a
We
little
can,
something.
yeah, okay, no, well, that's great. That's very helpful feedback. So let us take another pass at it. Okay. Well, we can certainly come back to anything or answer any other questions, but in the meantime, Trey, well, I guess before we send it to Trey, I mean, as I said at the top, we're really at the finish line here. All of the interior finishes are going in. Furniture is going to show up later in January. Site work is continuing with the main entry walk up to the historic entrance and the hardscape. We'll go through a punch list process as we wrap things up, and then look forward to the planting come springtime.
What's the targeted end date right now, completion date?
January 31st.
Yeah, end of January.
Okay. And that seems like real right now?
Achievable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think we've turned a big corner on the project over
Yeah.
the summertime, and
No, that's great to know. We're just, the trustees and others are working on opening events. So, the more information we have about timing is helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, no sweat. Okay, Trey, what do you say?
Hi guys. So I'm gonna make mine short and sweet into the boring part of the budget. So just sharing with you line A here. This is SMI's pay apps. So we have paid out 7.5 million and we have 1.6 remaining. Regards to what Morgan was just mentioning and the end date here, they're aligning. It's a tool that I use for their pay app. They're aligning right where they probably should be in the last couple months here. So that's just want to let you know that, as well as you can see Hazmat Consultants. So they've been paid out completely with a remaining balance of 151. Now that's just a budget. So this remaining balance is the original budget proposed. So that with the transfers and everything, with regards to what we were talking about with the roof and everything, we actually have a little bit left in the bank for that. And then at the bottom line here, we're going into contingency. So original contingency was 2.5% of the bid award, which we used up all of it. And then in the additional funding from the town in 2025, we had the 930K. The approved transfers part of that is Design Labs extended ad services as well as Colliers, which left us with 575K remaining in contingency at the end of the day there. Through the construction process, we're really coming down to this last 47K that we have remaining, and with a total project budget remaining of 199K. 30,000 foot view of what we have left in the budget.
Well, that's what we have for you all this evening. Happy to answer any other questions or go back to anything, but that's the update that we have to share.
Do we think this is probably going to be the last meeting that we're having?
Likely, but if we need to reconvene on the graphic feedback that we just got, we can do that. I don't know that there's a whole lot from now until the end of January.
Yep.
I guess I'd defer to the building committee and Denise on that, but we're really close to the finish line, which is great, and it's been a long journey.
So Ben, with regards to the graphics, when does that need to be decided by? Like, what's the turnaround for ordering that and having that produced?
It's not really that lengthy of a process. I mean, to get it printed and installed. Let me give that some thought, but I mean that there's time. There's not a lot left, but there's time. So we could maybe convene in the new year.
So like right after the first of the year, have a meeting to look at those graphics before they're finalized?
Yeah, and we could do some legwork from a procurement perspective ahead of that. I mean, really, we just need to get on somebody's radar. It's not a huge project, and I mean, not to oversimplify it, but it is just printing something at a really large scale on a special type of paper and then adhering it to the wall. So it's not the majority of the effort is the designing the artwork. So the installation itself is not, it's not a very big deal.
Can I ask a question about like how the landscaping gets incorporated from here on out? So like, you've put in the trees that it sounded like needed to be put in there, but then there's also obviously going to be grass and things like that. Like, how does that all work when the project wraps up in the end of January and like there's those missing pieces?
So
That's a
those,
good question. So there'll be some stabilization of the basically the soil that's
soil.
there, some soil stabilization. So um, that'll go down, and then come the springtime, the landscapers will come back and they'll get everything planted.
Gotcha. Okay. But do we pay them all out before they come back?
No,
No.
No.
Okay.
No,
Sorry.
so-
that's a good question.
So we have
Very
a
good
we
question.
have a we have a change order that allows only the specific landscaping that we've agreed to push off into the spring, so that
Gotcha.
it doesn't impact the end date of January 31st. And then we don't pay anything extra for them to have to come back. They don't pay anything extra for going over the January 31st date. So we
Gotcha.
had a map of what they needed to plant now. And then we decided we didn't want to rush and get everything in because the site was still really unstable.
Right.
So we came to an agreement on what could wait to the spring, and that's the only thing they will have to come back for.
Gotcha. But like the
And to
pathway,
add to that, the warranty aspect of it,
Yes.
we've extended due to this. So those trees, for example, technically warranty kicks in as soon as plantings start. Usually, we've negotiated that warranty is actually at the end of spring. So spring, once all planting is completed, that warranty actually goes into
that
effect.
starts. Okay. And like but like the major, I mean, I don't know if it's landscaping, I don't know what they call it, hardscaping, like the stairs to get in and out, and the handicap ramp and things like that. Those will all
That'll
be
be in.
done
Yep,
by the January date. It's just really plants.
that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
the ramp
Yeah,
I would assume is that I think they're going to pour cement. It's all framed out, the
It's
stairs. So
the ramp's in.
Perfect. It's hard to see, with the fence, like
Yeah.
it's hard to know
Yep.
the bottom stuff, what's happening. And I do think like once that fence comes down, I do think the tying in of all of that bottom is going to really bring the project together too. So I think people will be happy with that.
and it's a really cute little courtyard at
Yay.
the entrance with
That's
the
great.
brick wall and the trees around. It's a really nice little courtyard.
And in terms of following up on that, I know that like has it all been approved that we're doing a one-way road? That's like all oh, don't give the face.
So yes, there was quite a bit of momentum to close the road completely and have more grass and open space and picnic tables, and that came up against some hurdles. So we are, and because the project couldn't wait until boards decided to work those out, it will be a one-way street. For now, the select board can always change that in the future. So SMI is continuing with their sidewalk work and the work that they own as far as that. And then the town was responsible. We were doing sort of the street and moving it over a little bit to make enough space for the one way and then a couple of parallel parking spaces.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Is there a good opportunity for any of us on the building committee to do a walkthrough or see what's going on before the official opening?
Yeah, I put that out in the last email. Just let us know. We'll be more than happy. We just can't get a quorum of folks at the same time. So
Oh, right. Okay.
let us know. And I think we only have 2 extra hard hats. So,
Okay.
yeah,
And it's
let us know.
usually Thursdays that you go over, right?
Well, we're over every Thursday, but we could go over Monday through Friday, depending on your availability.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Remind me, how much is a quorum?
4.
Thanks.
Okay, if that's all for that. We can move on to approving the meeting minutes from June 17th.
They looks like they were in order to me. So if no one had any comments, I would make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Trey, I'll just say that in my note at the bottom where I talked about correcting your last name, I misspelled your first name and didn't notice it until I opened it today. So I will correct that before they're published.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, I think I have to do a roll call. Is that right? It's been a while. Okay, Tina, yes. Denise,
Yes.
Kat,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
I'm going in order here. Morgan,
Yes.
thank you. Aisha,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
and Frank. If you're
Yes.
there. He's there. Thanks, Frank.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
those are unanimously approved. Thank you. Does anybody want to discuss anything else that is not on the agenda?
Yeah, I guess I have another, I'm going to kind of back to a question I brought up before. I realize I could be like just talking into a vacuum when I say this, but when we look back on what the building committee was charged with doing and how the process of how this project was supposed to work, it didn't totally pan out that way. And I understand that a lot of it, like you said, has to do with timing, and you can't wait for boards to make decisions, like you said. And um, I can appreciate that. It almost makes me think that we shouldn't have had a building committee that did it, because it feels a little, it just feels a little icky that we are taking responsibility for a lot of these things that we were not part of. And like, I know the trustees did not, after, I mean, as to my recollection, after we approved the original plans that we took to town meeting, like things have not been brought to the trustees to approve. And that was part of the, charter of this committee. And so I guess I'm a little confused, because as I'm now the chair and learning a little bit more about things like open meeting law and how things are supposed to be done, I'm confused about how we were able to get away with not really treating this committee the way that it was, like giving it the responsibility that it was charged with doing. So it's really, there's nothing to be done about it at this point, and that's fine. I'd like to just understand a little bit about, any of the like ethical ramifications of saying that we're members of this committee and we're sworn to do these things, and then it didn't really go that way.
Well, I mean, there's no legal ramifications. So, and 3 trustees were on this committee for a reason, so that you would report back to the Board of Trustees on discussion and decisions that
Yeah.
needed to be made. So I think in the beginning, when we first started meeting and assembled the group, we talked about how often folks wanted to meet. And it wasn't, we talked about, do you want to review pay recs? Do you want to review? And there was a no, people didn't want to meet monthly even. It was more of a quarterly update. So, perhaps from the beginning, when we talked about what the committee wanted out of the meetings, it just wasn't translated that you wanted to meet as regularly as possible. So, but there's no legal ramifications. It's an ad hoc committee that was created. So,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:49.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Thanks, Lisa. Do I have to do a roll call to end the meeting too?
you could just say all in favor.
All right, it's all in favor. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye all.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.